Hey, how you guys doing? It's your boy Beastly back at it again with another CFB 26 video. As always, huge shout out to all you beautiful bastards who watch my videos. I've had like 30 more people join the Discord since the previous video I posted yesterday, so I appreciate y'all. Much love and support. Shout out to all the people who've been killing it on the streams. The last stream I think I did got like 1,000 views after I posted the stream, so appreciate you guys. Glad you guys enjoyed the stream. And yeah, special thanks to all you guys who show up every single time I post on whether it's a stream, a video, all you guys who like, comment, subscribe, share my content, promote me in any way you can. It means a ton to me. Thank you for taking time out your evening to support my content. And yeah, let's with all that yapping aside, what's the point of the video basically? So, if you guys have been in my streams the last couple days, you guys would have known that a specific individual got brought up in which we yapped about their videos. Now, this individual made a claim, and I really wanted to test said claim along with bring up other things in the video and get your guys' general feedback. So, the claim was that double soft selling with lasting impressions is actually better than hard selling. And when I heard that, I was like, that doesn't sound very accurate. That sounds like, you're omitting some details to this, story, and I have to go test this. The irony also in the video where he was claiming that the double soft sell is better than the hard sell, the irony also was he didn't show the footage of what he was talking about, which is very funny because as a guy who can edit your videos, you can literally put the background footage at like 500 times speed and cover 30 minutes of footage in like 30 seconds. So I think it's very funny that people make claims on this platform, especially in whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's CFB, whatever, game it is. I think it's really funny when content creators will tell you something and then proceed to not show you what they're saying. It's like, take my word for it, bro. It's like, okay. Or you could just, I don't know, show me. Crazy concept, I know. But all that being aside, that's kind of the preface of this video. I will show you the coach build. I have program builder, but I have nothing in it because I had to spend points just to get, CEO. Same thing with motivator. I bought it, didn't buy anything in it. Tactician, I got the bare minimum just to get program or just get CEO, excuse me. And then recruiter, we picked the recruiter, so there's nothing in here just to show you. This is literally a vanilla blank coach with no extra assets. I will show you my coordinators. My coordinators have no benefits. There is no recruiter. There's no talent developer. They both do have motivator, but I have not upgraded my players, so tier 1 of motivator will take no effect for this video. For all intents and purposes, this is 100% just one perk. So there you go. Now, if you guys know with the series, this is the series where I test things, whether it was me testing how good or bad Architect was, which spoilers are it's garbage, or me doing a 3-part, mini documentary about how garbage Strategist was and arguing with the people who worship that perk like a religion in the comments of those videos. This is generally where I test stuff. I have 3 series. I have a How To Dynasty series where I give you tips and tricks to how to improve your general Dynasty experience to get you to win more and, stuff, yada, yada, yada. I have another series like this one where I'm testing perks, I'm testing things, I'm testing claims, and show you the data and, a little peek behind the curtain for how things are done. And then I have a new series, a 3rd series called the Potential Prodigy series. In that series, I basically show you outlier stats for each position group to show you generally what to look for to find more elite or star dev players. So like for QBs, 93 plus throw power, very good. For corners, 95 plus speed, stuff like that. Most of the time, if you follow the rules in those videos, you'll find better people on average. So there you go. And so this video is going to be me testing stuff. But if you've noticed, I've tested Architect, I've tested Strategist, I've tested a lot of stuff in, this game, but I haven't tested anything with recruiting. Basically, why haven't you tested anything with recruiting? Recruiting has to be the single most difficult thing to test in this game. And I don't want to bore you guys with the, the boring, bland, basic stuff. A lot of you guys click on this video just to get to the point. I do apologize. But I gotta like preface all this for the people who inevitably won't watch the video at all, and then I'll be like, LOL in your comment, go rewatch the video. Always happens. Every single video I post, always does. But when you're testing anything recruiting-wise, like perk or the impact of stuff, you have to kind of isolate every variable you possibly can, and it's almost physically impossible to do that with recruiting. Easy example. The first variable I had to, simulate for this to make sure that it was identical for both people to make the test as fair as humanly possible, because I do things in good faith, not bad faith, is pipelines. Obviously, if you have a very good pipeline and you're doing an experiment on testing a perk with no pipeline, the guy with the pipeline is going to win. I know, shocker, right? So you have to find 2 prospects with the same pipeline. Okay, not very hard, Beastly. You can do that. There's literally thousands of prospects. I'm sure you can find several hundred with the same pipeline. And you are correct. That's just the first hurdle of 4 you have to get through to do this video, which TLDR took me 7.5 hours. So if you guys enjoy my pain and suffering, smash like on the video. I would greatly appreciate this. But once when you find 2 prospects that have the same pipeline, the next hurdle you have to jump is initial interest. Because who would have thunked it that if you're testing a recruiting perk, the person with more initial interest is going to win? I know, shocker. So you have to find people with as similar as humanly possible. Obviously, you can't do that. There's no way of like specifically filtering by, exact interest. Even you could have 2 people that are first interest, but where you're at on the total interest could vary drastically. And I'm not going to, again, do things in bad faith. So I had to find 2 people with as similar interests as humanly possible. And as you guys can see as the example I have listed for you already on the screen, these 2 people just wouldn't work, right? He has no pipeline. He's a tier 5, automatically disqualified first thing off rip. Second, if you look, the bar is so different that you can very clearly see when it jumps, right? This prospect is far low. Even though I have higher initial interest, right? I'm 4th on his board. I have less total interest, as you can see by the brown/beige bar above the word scouting. So aside from the pipeline failing these guys and the initial interest, the next thing you have to find to replicate in good faith a recruiting video or a testing of a recruiting perk is deal breakers. Why does that matter, Beastly? Again, you have to have every variable to be the same as humanly possible, right? If you have 2 players that have different deal breakers, more than likely they will have different hard sells. If they have different hard sells, you have, within a margin of error of something going on. So as an example, we'll take Doug Kanoy for this little portion of the video. If his thing ends up being coaching stability being a B+, playing style being a D+, and like procs to home as an A, but then for Greenwood, it ends up being brand exposure, championship contender, and conference prestige, A+, A, and A-. Obviously, the 3 A's is going to trump the guy with a D. So how do you basically filter or look for the same hard sell to make it as equally or fair as possible? Well, you have to filter by deal breakers, because eventually, if they all have the same deal breaker, more than likely statistically, you'll find somebody with the same hard sell. If they have the identical hard sell, you have the highest % chance of having it not go astray mid-season. Some of the hard sells or / motivations, just if you're curious, that will not work for this is playing style. Playing style changes week to week, game to game. So if I have a really bad week in sim, that goes down. If I have a really good week in sim, it goes up. It can't be consistent. I need stuff that will not change throughout the year. And so I ended up settling for brand exposure, which is already an A+, because I forced 1 natties to like make my team better, obviously. So that's not going to change. Next, championship contender. I also can stabilize that as a variable because I can force wins. So that's a good one. PT will never change because, again, I'm only recruiting 2 players for this experiment, so that's a good one. And you'll see from the ones I chose, a lot of the ones that won't change are kind of important for this. So once when you have all 4 of those things, they have the same hard sell, they have the same initial interest, or as close as you possibly can, they have the same pipeline, then you go from there. Which once when you start like going down the list, that is very, 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 very hard. That's the kind of the reason why this video took 7 hours to record, was that just finding 2 prospects that had all of the similarities was very hard. But now I can go ahead and show you what they look like. So the 2 prospects I did find to settle to be as close as humanly possible is quarterback Josh Shabazz, great name, and tackle Nasir Luke. As you guys can see, they have the same initial pipeline being 0, so they get no pipeline benefits. As you can see, they have the same deal breaker being brand exposure. And because of that, they also, as you could guess it, after doing this hundreds of times, have the exact same hard sell, which is dope. And not just do they possess the same hard sell, but if you look at the influence bar, I know it might be really, really, really hard to see in the YouTube video. I literally had to whip out a freaking ruler and measure the pixels on my screen. Technically, Josh Shabazz has like a 1 or 2% increase buff over the other one. Like the bar does technically move whenever I go back and forth, but this is the closest I can get to having the same number of influence. Like if there's a way, some tool, some like editing thing I could do to where I could give them the exact same number, I would, but I physically can't. So this is what I settled on as like the closest I can get, which is technically fair, because the premise, the claim, if you will, is that the double soft sell over time will actually accrue more influence than the hard sell. So if that claim is true, the fact that this guy has a very tiny little advantage shouldn't matter, because theoretically the double soft sell being so good should overtake the thing, right? If the claim is true. So now I'm going to get things set up, and I will explain why. So for the hard sell guy, I mean, she should go without saying, you're just hard selling. There you go. Hard sell plus 10. But that's not why you're here. You're here for the soft sell guy. So we have the same, again, know the prospect, know the hard sell / soft sell. It's the same, yada, yada, yada. The same DM player is the same. Here's the interesting part. So I'm going to do this twice. Show you, a before and after. That way everything can get I'll show you a lot. This video might be like an hour long. Do apologize, but I'm going to show a lot in this video just to kind of explain things in depth. But as you can see, the hard sell's A+, A+, A-. For this gentleman, it's A+, A+, A. Is there a small difference? Yes. By that difference, it's one singular point. One person has 1 point more than the other. But again, that's the closest I can get. But if you don't know, like, what do you mean points? What is this point nonsense you're talking about, basically? So there's wonderful content creator by the name of Max, who plays college football for CFP 25 and 26. Love the guy. Great content. Great person. Highly promote him. Go watch his videos. Go watch his content. Go subscribe. He discovered last year that there's a point / grading system when you're doing stuff, and the letters equal a number, and when you reach said number, you can hard sell / soft sell, versus if you don't hit that number, you have to send the house. I believe, unless they've changed it, the number was either 19 or 20. If you go above that threshold, you can hard sell. If you're under that threshold, you should send the house. The same logic also applies to soft selling, right? If you go above that number, you can do it. If you're below that number, there's really no point in doing it. This is the scale if you want to take a screenshot. That way, moving forward, you don't have to track down the video. I'll have everything linked in the description. I don't own this video, nor do I claim to. I'm just using it for educational purposes. Shout out to you, Max, and I should have probably picked a better pause frame, but oopsie daisy. But yeah, that's the video right there. And so here's the thing. Even though we only have 2 of the 3 cells, we know, because it's an A+ and an A, we are going to have a high enough number to then get the benefits of the soft sell. Because I believe the A+ is 13, and the A is either 10 or 11, which 13 plus 10 is 23. 23 is higher than 20, so we're good regardless. But there you go. So even though technically we're going to be missing on one of these check marks because it's going to be wrong, I will show you on the screen we're still going to get credit for it, and we're still going to get influence. So if the claim is accurate, the Nasir Luke should commit to our school at Florida before Josh Shabazz does. Now, I'm going to do very little editing for this video, or as little editing as I possibly can, I should probably say, because I do have a cough and a cold. So if I do randomly cut, that's probably why I'm just editing out the sniffing and the coughing. But I'm going to try to edit as little as possible. That way everything is on screen, because if I don't do that, there's always that guy in the comments. Actually, Beasley, you didn't do this properly. I didn't do it properly. So as you guys can see, for this gentleman right here, Josh Shabazz, we have the +10 and the +40. Here we go. That is him. And then we flick the controller down, and as you can see, it's very small, right? It's very small, but Josh Shabazz still has the lead. Right? He still has, it's only like a 1 or 2% lead, but he still does possess a lead. And if you look on the right-hand side in the action summary section, it shows you what you are or are not getting credit for influence. We get the scholarship bonus check. We have the DM the player bonus check. We have the football influencer soft sell check, and we have the clocked in soft sell, right? We are getting credit for both of these soft sells, even though this one has an X. That's because, like I've mentioned, A++ A is, I believe, 23 or 22. Either way, it's above 20, right? It's comfortably over 20, so I can get away with this. So we're technically getting influence from this, technically. And they are still in second place. But hey, it's only been 1 week. You can't judge it, right? The claim that they gave in their video was that over time, they will overtake them, right? So it's only been 1 week. Let's go 1 more week. There's no way in back-to-back weeks the guy with hard selling is still going to be in first place, right? There's no way this would happen. Here you go. So as you guys can see, Josh Shabazz is a ever so tiny, minuscule tick away from being in the top 3. And then we flick down, and it's the same thing. Have you guys noticed? It's the same. I mean, I guess I lied. Technically, it's not the same. Technically, the dude who was in first place by like 1 to maybe 2% is still in the lead by 1 or 2%. It's the exact same, right? It hasn't moved. But Beastly, it's only been 2 weeks, right? The claim was that over time, you will gain enough to then jump them over time. You clearly over time meant more than 2 weeks. So how about we do a 3rd week? You're going to see a problem here momentarily. So the reason why when I do testing for videos, I always show you what I'm testing, because I'm not one of these content creators who will just make bullshit up and then not show it. Everything I say can be replicated. Everything I do can be done the same. So as you guys can see, it's the same. It's the same. And now when I advance 1 more week, they're both going to commit. It's the exact same. Now in week 7, oh no. Where's my shocked Fortnite face? Oh my god, guys. Oh my god, they committed. Yeah, they both committed. And not just did they both commit, they both had the same amount of influence the entire time. Theoretically, the guy who with the double soft sell and the +10 should have eventually overtook him, but he never did. Actually, I lied. I'm oh my god, I'm actually wrong. If you look at the bar very closely, because it still does show you the influence bar, technically the same week they committed, the double soft sell guy finally overtook the other guy. It's a very small difference. Again, I doubt you guys will see it much in the video, but if you like whip out like a pencil or something and like put it on your screen and look, it's a very, very, very small difference. But technically, the same week they committed, the double soft sell guy overtook the hard sell guy. But guess what, buddy? Who gives a shit if you overtake the guy in influence? They've already recruited, right? They've already committed. Who gives a shit at this point? Well, actually, who cares? They're on your team. The point of doing this is to get them on your team. If they're both on your team the exact same week, what's the point? Furthermore, I advanced like, what, 3 or 4 weeks? It took 3 to 4 weeks to jump the guy who was in the lead by like 1, maybe 2%. So if it takes you 4+ weeks to go up 1 to 2%, what's the point? Right? That is a useless tip. What is the point? And I already know what you're going to say in the comments. Beastly, that's because you did this wrong, right? In the video, he clearly states the double soft sell with all the greens. So I get you. Now I'm going to replicate this and show you again how it's very misleading and very under the table. So as I hear you aggressively typing, or heard you aggressively typing on your keyboard with the Dorito fingertips you got there, buddy. Basically, when he said the double soft sell, he clearly meant after you sway. You sway to make the person have a secondary soft sell. So what you do is actually wrong. I'm glad you let me know already that I did this incorrectly. Thank you, bud. So I'm going to just show this just for the video, but Josh Shabazz will always be the hard sell guy. If I stop showing him throughout the video, just know he's the always hard sell guy. He's kind of the metric line here. But here we go. This is the hypothetical example he was giving, right? So you have the guaranteed soft sell here, and now you have the sway. Now here's my problem with the sway, and I guess I probably should have done this live, that way you guys could see it. But here's the thing with sway. Sway is a very, 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 very inconsistent thing to bank your house and or, to sell the proverbial farm for. This is bad, right? The high, medium, low, I have yet to do an in-depth video on sway. I probably should before I made this video, but oh well, future video for future me. From my current understanding how sway works, when you remove coordinators and you remove perks from the equation, the base odds, the base rate for swaying, I believe is 50-50. I could be wrong. That's what it was last year. Again, could be wrong, but on a high, it's a 50-50. On medium, I think it's like a 25-35, and on low, it's like a 5 or 10%. Again, I have not, directly sat down and hand tested this since last year, so could be wrong, could be, slightly different, but either way, even on a high sway chance, it's a 50-50. And I believe with perks, it ups the odds from being a 50-50 to a 75%. So you still have a very large margin of error. And I'm going to show you why in this video. You can't bank everything you do on the sway. And as we know, because it's the same thing I've done over and over. We know 2 of the 3 checks is PT and Pro Potential, so we're going to come down here to Clocked In, which will have the highest % chance of triggering because we already have 2 of the 3 check marks. But as you guys know, just because something has the highest % chance to trigger doesn't mean it'll trigger. I know, shocker. So we're going to advance the week. And I hope for the video we do get it first try, just because it'd be a little funny to do the opposite of what I'm saying, because that's how coin flips work in life. Ha! Never mind. Perfect example. Perfect example. This is the reason why you can't sell the farm for sway. Now, I know I'm going to get the obligatory comment, well, Beastly, obviously you shouldn't be doing the strat without having the sway perk. Dude, to get the sway perk, you have to waste hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating, by the way. You have to waste hundreds of points in base recruiter, right? The increased chance to sway is tier 4. I personally, if you're a good school, never recommend getting more than tier 1 in base recruiter, right? Tier 1 is all you need. If you're a really bad school with no pipelines and you need the assistance, you should go tier 2 maximum. Tier 3, as you guys saw from my video yesterday, the portal is currently bugged. It is giving people random pipelines in random areas and random states. For some reason, Miami got a tier 5 pipeline in Illinois. It also nerfed mine. It took my tier 3 down to a tier 1. So the whole portal thing is super bugged. People are losing random people. Maybe it's just a state of Illinois thing. I have not tested this for all 50 states. Maybe there's other states that work this way too, but at least I know for a fact for the state of Illinois that it's not working properly. So I don't recommend the portal in general, because it's kind of, cheesy. If you want a second example of how the portal is cheesy, in my opinion, in my how to talent developer video I uploaded like a week or so ago, I got to the national championship game with Texas State within 2 seasons. In 2 seasons, I got talent developer and almost won a natty with a 1-star school. That's how easy it is when you use the portal. So I don't recommend this. Now, for an online dynasty, you need every advantage you can. Go up to tier 3, that's fine. But if you're doing an offline dynasty, or even if you are doing an online dynasty, again, it just depends on your school, right? If you're, Missouri State or Delaware, where you have no pipelines and no assistance, obviously go to tier 1, 2, and 3. But if you're like Ohio State, dog, you have a million 5- and 4-star pipelines. You don't need the extra help. Or Georgia, or Clemson, or Alabama. You got stuff made. Life is good for you already. You don't need the extra stuff. But where I draw the line is for tier 4 to the extra sway. Now you might say, Beastly, who cares if it's 16 to 8 points you're wasting? That may not seem like a very big deal. But if you buy tier 4 for everything, right? That is 56 tokens, bare minimum, you are wasting on sway. 56 tokens. So just to give you an idea what you can buy, right? With that extra 56, which again, that's just assuming you just buy 1 through 3 and you skip tier 4. You could buy literally senior superlatives, bundle discount, and gain getter, those 3. Or you could buy more the merrier, gain getter, and like anything you want in this. And that's just assuming you want CEO perks, right? You could buy increase the pipeline with a relationship builder if you're in a good state with a good school like Texas, California, or Florida, strong roots. Like, there is so much you could do with those extra 56 tokens. And again, that's only assuming you just buy tiers 1 through 3. If you skip tier 3 and tier 4, you're going to be saving 112 total tokens. So I promise you, it's a big investment for something that you shouldn't be doing. It really, this whole sway mechanic is not very good. It's not reliable. And the fact you're trying to buy perks to try to make an unreliable thing more reliable is very dumb. Just don't do that. With that extra 100 something points, you could do like tier 4 talent developer. Again, there's just, if you're in an online league and you have, again, hundreds of points to spare, you can go in a tactician and get some stuff for your corners that'll affect 5 plus players in your defense, 3 corners, 2 safeties, 2 strong safeties, 2 free safeties, 2 corners, whatever, dime, dollar, nickel, whatever you're in, right? There is just so many more useful things you can do with those hundreds of tokens than wasting them and burning them on sway. But my rant aside, back to the video. But yeah, that's kind of the beauty here, right? As you guys can see, we were trying to hit the sway, and we have the highest % chance. because we have 2 of the 3 check marks, which is still a 50. And we didn't get it. And now, as you could probably guess, well, Beastly, what happens if you don't get the sway? Now the hard sell guy gets extra influence. So now the lead is pretty big, right? As you guys can see, this is probably the largest lead you can see the entire time, right? This one you could actually see with the naked eye, and you don't have to like measure pixels here. It's actually like probably a 5% lead at this point. And here's the scary part. The person who's doing the double soft sell sway, if you're in this situation, you need to cross your fingers and hope you don't get, screwed on the second 50-50. But you never know. That's kind of the beauty of this inconsistency, is that as equal chance you have of hitting the hard sell, you have an equal chance of not hitting the hard sell. Now watch for the YouTube video. It's probably going to hit this turn. It did. So there you go. You are technically 1 week behind the other person, but you did just land the sway. So now you're going to go remove the sway. Now you're going to go in here and add clocked in right here. And now you are going to see that I do believe, yes, I do believe currently the hard sell is still winning, but I believe next week the double soft sell will jump. But as you saw though, we were a 50% chance away from failing. Right? We didn't hit the sway on the first week, and then on the second week, we hit it. But we had an equal chance of not hitting it on week 2. And if you're curious, Beastly, what are the odds of you missing back-to-back weeks in sway? I've done this hundreds of times. I can show you. So for one of many attempts, I was doing this. This attempt, I was doing just the regular 40 hard sell. I wasn't even giving Shabazz the extra plus 10. It was just a 40 versus 50. Just to see how close I could make it. So keep in mind, this actually could have been worse. If I put the extra 10 hours on Shabazz and it made 50 versus 50, it would have been an even bigger blowout than it already was. So as you can see on the middle right part of the screen, this is week, I believe, 5? Either week 5 or week 6. I tried the first available week, so you have to send to week 4 to even get to the top 5. So this is either week 5 or week 6. I tried for the sway, and as you can see, I failed it, right? No big deal. I failed it. What week are we? Week 5. We're in week 5. Yeah. So this was the first possible week I could have swayed. I failed it in week 5. We're going to advance to week 6. There's no way we'll fail it back-to-back weeks, right? Basically, it's a 50-50 chance, right? There's no way you will fail a coin flip back-to-back weeks, right? Then I go in, and as you will see, bada bing, bada boom. There we go. We failed it again. That is now 2 consecutive weeks we failed this way. And now, when I flick up on the D-pad, or I hope so. Okay, Old Beastly is... There we go. It took Old Beastly way too long to flick up on the D-pad. But now, Josh Shabazz is now... He went from being slightly in the lead to a very sizable lead. Because just as much of a chance as this can work for you, it will fuck you. It's an equal chance, if you will. And with the hard sell... Again, I don't have the extra 10 hours on Shabazz. I technically would have probably have already been in his top 3 stage if I had these 10 hours extra. So technically, I think Shabazz commits in week 7. He could have committed in week 6, right? He's at it. I was unironically giving him a disadvantage here, and he still wins because that's just how it works. Because again, I missed the sway back-to-back weeks, but there's no way, Beastly, that you'll miss the sway 3 weeks in a row, right? Right. So we're in week 7, A&M going to advance, and as you'll see, I wish I would have jotted down like what attempt this was, just to have the exact number, but Josh Shabazz commits in week, was it 7, week 8? I forget the week. In week 8, Josh Shabazz commits, and we go down, and bam, finally, Luke hits the hard sell after 3 or 4 weeks, or it should be the sway after 3 or 4 weeks. And at that point, it's over, right? Hypothetically, if this was a person versus person situation, he would have lost. So just as much as you have a chance of hitting the first week sway and being great, you cannot hit the sway at all and lose the recruit. That's why with the video I'm referencing from Poodle, he said it always works. But he never explained how. Yes, under the right circumstances, if you hit the sway first week, and the thing you sway, which that's another very, 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 very big detail to this that he also, like many things he didn't explain. This also only works if your grades are very good, right? I haven't tested this yet on like how low you can go with the grades, but from what I have tested with these two people, anything under an A either ties with hard selling or is slightly weaker. So this double soft sell strat, just to, summarize here very quickly, you have to sway to guarantee the win, but you can't guarantee the sway to work. So you have to hope you hit the 50-50 first. And then after you hit the 50-50, you have to hope that you have, as a school, enough good grades to then do the double soft sell with good grades. Right? As the example I shown with this gentleman, it's an A+, A, and C-, right? If this was A+, 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 he would have got more points. But you got to ask yourself, Beastly, how many schools, how many dynasties, how many situations are you going to be put in where everything you have is an A+? Like, if you have everything in A+, academic prestige, brand exposure, championship contender, pro potential, if you have everything as an A+, you don't need help recruiting. And again, Poodle's content is primarily focused around online dynasties, which is fine. But even in online dynasties, if you have, which again, he just doesn't yap about in his video. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it is for specifically a very rare and a very, obscure tip and trick for a very, specific situation. If you have CEO, you've won 2 natties. If you've won 2 natties, you probably have a good school and or a good team. If you have a good school or a good team, you don't really need the extra assistance in playing the game. Does that make sense? Are you like picking up what I'm putting down? It just doesn't make sense, right? Logically speaking, it doesn't make sense. Another thing is that if you're going down the route of like, well, it's an online dynasty thing. If that's the case, right? If that is the case, then let's say you have, I think most online dynasties have somewhere between like 8 and 12 people, right? Some dynasties are like mine are like 32 man and some are very big, but let's just say the average online dynasty is filled approximately between 8 to 12 people, which I don't think would be an unreasonable number to assume. To win 2 natties takes 2 years. Most online dynasties, even if you do sim daily or every other day, most online dynasties, you will not get past year like 4, maybe 5, without several in real months time passing. So if you have an 8 to 12 man dynasty, again, on average, and you're simming 1 week a day or every other day, you're going to be 4 to 5 years down the road after several in real life months. Meaning if you're only 4 or 5 years deep in your dynasty, there's only going to be probably 1, if not maybe 2 people maximum that has this perk. Now, I don't think I should have to explain this, but I'm going to anyways. If you have lasting impressions, no shit, you should beat the guy without lasting impressions. You have a perk they don't have. So what is the point of this video? What is the point of this tip? And I don't mean it for my video, but I meant for his, like the rhetorical, you guys get the point. Obviously, like if you're curious, I haven't tested it in this video, but I have a second coach in this dynasty for Florida State to specifically test it. And every single time, whether it was the double soft sell or the hard sell, or even just sending the house, the person with lasting impressions beat the coach without lasting impressions, which makes sense. They have an extra perk. So what is the point of this tip? Are you literally giving a tip for people for like, there's probably, I don't even want to like say it's 1%. You're talking like 0.03% of players are in an online dynasty, and there's enough users with CEO, and there's enough users with lasting impressions to then give a very obscure, very specific niche tip against other users. If everything goes perfect, right? And I'm going to hopefully show this in the video. But if everything goes perfect, if for some reason you're in an online dynasty and there's like 10 users with lasting impressions, which makes no sense, but let's just, again, under perfect circumstances, just to make it as fair and good faith as possible. If there are 10 people with lasting impressions, so there's a lot of people you're fighting for, does the double soft sell potentially have the outcome to make more than the hard sell? Yes. But are you really gonna risk the, like, roll the die on sway? And if you are gonna roll the dice on sway, are you really gonna commit literally hundreds of wasted tokens just to do this? Again, that could be spelt, or like so many other places. Like, I would also be willing to bet that pipeline plays a huge factor in this, right? If you have a 0 pipeline and the other person has like a 2 or a 3, God forbid a 4 or 5, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter what the 2 or 3 does. They're gonna win. I've not tested that, but I'm pretty certain that as long as you have a better pipeline and decent perks, this strategy doesn't work. Like, this strat only works for, again, the very niche situation where you both have a similar amount of interest, a similar pipeline, similar grades, and the same perks. But, like, how often is that happening? I don't know if EA was trying to, like, punish me or troll me, but I'm not exaggerating. I just have to cut like an hour of footage. I just sat here re-rolling the same file over and over and over again, trying to get the thing to work on the first try, and it finally did. Oh my God, that was so annoying. I legitimately went like, I lost the 50-50 coin flip like 17 times in a row. Every single time I did this, I could not get the pitch to trigger on the first try. It's actually really funny. So, obviously, you're not going to see that because I don't want this video to be like 16 hours long, but yeah, I just spent an hour of this video just trying to get this to work on the first try. That way you guys could see the perfect example of like what it is. This is like the best possible thing that can happen. This is, you hit the soft sell, or you hit the sway, excuse me, early. You hit it the very first week you have it, which is, again, is a 50-50, and after all the bad luck I just experienced, maybe it's not even a 50-50. Maybe they lowered it to like a 35-40 because EA shouldn't have took me that many attempts to get the first try, but whatever. This is like the best possible outcome you can get, and as you guys will see, I'm pretty sure it still wins, or I'm pretty sure the soft sell does win, but that's because you have A plus A plus A with an A plus A plus A plus versus an A plus A plus A minus. Right, I don't really think it matters what perks you have. The fact that you have 2 different things hitting for all A pluses is kind of the differentiating factor, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't advise this in the slightest. I think the fact that this only works 0 point whatever % of the time goes to show you, and it's so just niche. Like, what's the point? It doesn't. Again, if you're doing this for an online dynasty, if you have lasting impressions, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to win versus the people who don't have lasting impressions. And if you're in an online dynasty with multiple people with lasting impressions, what is there, like 2 of you? Maybe 3 at like, it's just, this is not applicable to most people most of the time. So I just think this is just a very scummy, grimy thing to tell people, hey, this always works, but like, no, it doesn't. I am right. So yeah, as you can see, because we hit the sway on the first week, we actually didn't get a deficit of influence. We actually kept on pace with the hard sell. And because we were able to hit it on the first week, on the second week, we were able to then hit the soft sell. And as you guys can see, bam, we just overtook the hard sell. That's kind of hard to like measure, but considering the word top 3 is a stationary item that it's not moving, this is slightly before the top 3. And this is slightly after the number 3. So this is what, probably 10 to 15 hours of an advantage, if I had to speculate. It's a decent advantage, but it's not a crazy amount. And now we're going to send him. He should commit this week. He should commit. He does. Okay. So there you go. That's the difference, right? If you have everything go perfect, right? RNGesus / the EA gods are on your side, you could get the person to commit a week early. But not I mean, yeah, it's a week early, but if you look at the other guy, as you guys can see, he still has like what? Maybe 25 hours? I don't really know. It's hard to measure the exact hours, but you guys can see the difference in the bars. So yeah, under perfect, and I mean perfect conditions, it's better. But like, would you rather test your fate or hold, let's say you found a generational dual threat athlete QB with like 98 throw power, 99 speed, just the most generational prospects you will ever see. And there's like 2 or 3 people going at it with all, let's say all of you have no pipeline and the same perks. Would I recommend you doing it then? Maybe. But again, it's like if you don't hit the soft sell, you're going to lose. So I just, maybe for, if you do waste, again, hundreds of points in the base recruiter, maybe you can justify it then. But there's so many better things you can spend your tokens on. Again, there's so many CEO perks. There's so many program builder perks, talent developer, like regular tactician for like an online league. There's just hell, if you want to buy strategist, right, you could buy strategist. Like it's just, you're wasting minimum 56 or 54. It's about 50 plus tokens if you just buy to tier 3, and if you skip tier 3 and tier 4, you're wasting 112. So just not worth it. Maybe you could argue that, well, basically you don't need to buy sway for everything. You could like buy sway for like quarterbacks and like receivers and and corners, the high target or like the high position of need for online dynasties. I guess you could argue that, but like, if you're going down this extremely categorically niche hypothetical and telling people it generally works broadly most of the time, that's very harmful. So I don't do that. That's why, again, in all my videos, everything I say and do can be replicated. And I think after a 3.5-hour recording, I can finally wrap this video up. I'm going to stick this at the very end of the video. You guys can do with this information what you will. As I always say, you guys are free to make whatever decision you want. Obviously, I will show you the information, again, up to you. But it was brought to my attention in the comments of one of my videos that the same individual, and I quote, stole one of my videos. And I was like, how did they steal my video? And more or less, I then went to their page. And I was like, okay, what videos of mine did you steal? And from 3 days ago, Mr. Poodle made this video about thresholds. And I'm like, okay, literally, I'm one of hundreds of people, possibly thousands, to make a video covering threshold. So I'm flattered that you think he stole my video, but I am just one of many people who've made the same video. So how did he steal my video? And I really didn't think much of it originally, aside from that, it's just whatever. But then I clicked on the video, and you're going to see pretty quickly, it's one of those things where it's like in high school where your buddy gives you a homework assignment, and they're like, hey, copy my answers, but like change a little bit. You're going to see momentarily. I found this very human, pretty comical, maybe laugh a little bit. But there you go. My video was posted in late September. His video was obviously posted recently, so there was a little time gap between the two. But since I do know that my videos do get put in his Discord, there you go. Anyways, in my video, the first position I cover, the first group I cover of the stats and thresholds for this, which is funny that I say this game, but they've been the same thresholds for many games, and I document that in my video. But either way, I show corners. The reason why I picked corner as the opening one is because corner has the most I could show you. Man being 90, zone being 90, press being 90. Those are 3 different ones. Hit power, I think, being 70. I forget if it's 75 or 74. But corners have a ton. Catching, corner has a ton of thresholds. So obviously I should show them as the first person in my video, which I did. And you would never guess what's the first position group Poodle put in his video. Ta-da! He covers the corners on Alabama. And I'm like, okay, that's whatever. That's just whatever. That's unlucky. We both decide to start with the same group of people, with the same group of players, and cover the same thresholds for the beginning of your video. Whatever. That's just bad luck. It's a 1 in... actually, it's a 1 in 22, right? Yeah. Because, there's 11. Yeah. So 1 in 22 chance. You know what? Weirder things have happened. I play this game for, a good time, so I've seen some crazier shit happen. But then in my video, the second group I cover, the next group that was pretty easy to talk about and explain, was receivers, because they have route running, they have catching, they have juke move, spin move, stiff arm, trucking. They have all sorts of different thresholds. So I figured let's go from corner to receiver. Also, corner and receiver, very, very, very important positions, whether it's online or offline dynasties. You would never guess what's the second position group Poodle covers in his threshold video. You would never guess. The next group he covers is wide receiver. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, that's pretty weird. You know, you could have talked about quarterbacks first. You could have talked about running backs first. You could have talked about receivers first, then did corner and like rotate the two order. But you go the exact same order I did. That's interesting, Poodle. That's okay. That's a bit weird. But, or actually, that's like the third weird thing I've mentioned. So it's like, okay. Starting to see a trend here. So then in my video, I end it more or less talking about quarterbacks because it's the most important position in the game, right? Obviously, it literally defines if you win or lose your games as QB. And not just do I think QB is the most important position, but EA also agrees because QBs have their own special thresholds. Almost everyone's threshold more or less soft caps at 90. QBs get a special super elite threshold at 95. So I decided to do corner first, then receiver, and then to wrap up with QB. And going through the Poodle video, the last one he covers is QB, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, man, okay. I watched the full video, right? He obviously covers all of them, or at least most of them. He does offensive line, D-line, linebacker. He covers more than I do. I just stuck to 3, but it's kind of weird. You choose to end off on QB while I ended off on QBs. You started with corners. I start with corners. Then you went to receivers. I went to... It's kind of weird that, like, you know, obviously I'm not the dictator of YouTube. I don't own the thresholds. Again, I'm just one of probably thousands of people who've made the same video. But the fact that I know from people telling me that my videos do float around in his Discord, I'm like, okay, could you at least just done them in a different order to give yourself plausible deniability that you're not just straight up going after it? And I know you're thinking to yourself, Beastly, you're so egotistical, you're so narcissistic, your hubris is immense. Trust me, there's a method to my madness, I promise. But if you go to his YouTube page, Poodle used to do Ultimate Team. Nothing wrong with that. I you know, variety content creator, I do COD and a lot of other stuff. Nothing wrong with that. His stuff was Ultimate Team. And if you go to his page and go to his videos and filter all of his videos by the word thresholds, which, to be fair, this is not the most deep dive I've ever done. If you want to see real deep dives, go watch my Don't Believe These Fraud series. But if you go to his page and just filter by the word thresholds, right, you'll see, as I scroll up, none of these videos have to do with CFB 25 or 26 until recently. So I think it's very funny, Poodle, that you didn't cover the threshold in 25 because they're the exact same, right? Thresholds have not changed since like Madden, I think 18, 17. It's been a long time. So I think it's weird that out of like nowhere, he more or less makes the same video as me, goes in pretty much the same order as me, covers, again, the similar stuff, but anyone can cover the similar stuff. The similarities here and the things I have to go and say, that makes no sense. That don't make no sense, man. WTF? And so yeah, if you're curious, here's me I'm gonna scroll up and show you. But yeah, he didn't do this for CFB 25. So it's like, if you've known this information like I have for years, why didn't you do it last year? I didn't do it last year because I wasn't making content last year. That's my reason. But Poodle, you've been doing this for several years. So why haven't you made this video before? Again, I know my videos float around in your Discord. I know I've been spoken about in your Discord. So like, could you just try to spice things up just a smidge? So yeah, if you literally just filter by thresholds, that's the first video he's made since transitioning to Dynasty for doing that. So maybe it's just a slew of coincidences. Maybe there's like 1,001 similarities. Again, I'm not gonna copyright strike the guy. I'm not that narcissistic, but I think there's enough oddities in this search situation to have most normal people go, that's a bit weird. So yeah, that's just a little observation. I'm gonna slap that at the very end of this video. And who knows, maybe I'll do more of stuff like this down the road, because a lot of people love to talk about me. A lot of people like to talk about me, but they don't like to say my name, which is pretty funny. It's like I'm the Baba Yaga of CFB content creation, which is kind of funny. But with all that being said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, night, afternoon, or day, depending on whatever time you watch my content in the future. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, drop me a follow, or sub on Twitch. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you can, please become a member. Members get early access to all the videos like you're watching right now. Whether it's just a day early, a few days early, hours early, or a week early, you do get early access to all of my content. So I would greatly appreciate it, along with other perks on the channel. More prioritized video or challenges or whatnot, and perks in the Discord. So you get a lot of stuff. Appreciate the members. Shout out to all you guys. You guys are on screen right now. And guys, I will see you when I see it. Deuces.